MULN fell by 7% on Friday, reaching a price of 28 cents. So why did it fall? How can it recover? And should you buy the stock? Sit tight as we answer that by going through recent news as well as my chart analysis and price prediction. But before we do that, subscribe to our channel Stox 101 for regular stock market updates. Investors are blaming CEO David Michery for this fall, but is it really his fault? The answer is yes and no. It is true that David Michery has made some statements and promises about the company's future which he could never fulfill, while diluting the shares repeatedly and selling his own stock, giving investors major red flags. But other reasons have hurt the stock just as much, going from no sales and no profits to global recession and a bad PR team. The no sales part is mainly the fault of the marketing and PR team, as their strikingly different tour is not being advertised or presented all that well. In our opinion, the only solution to this problem is a better PR team and reassuring investors while getting the sales running. With all that in mind, let's analyze the charts. So as you guys can see right here now in the 1-day chart for MULN, and as always we'll first analyze the 1-day chart, then the 1-hour chart, and trend it off we'll get in the 5-minute chart. But right off the bat we can see that, as I already told you on my 3rd November analysis, that the stock will probably fall under the 30-cent range, and as you guys can see we're currently standing at 28 cents. So well, that's a prop for me, but it's of course not a good news, right? It's not a good thing. So why did this stock fall? Of course we did discuss some factors, some news factors, some technical factors in the first part of this video, but over here we can see that we did get somewhat of an inflation in the stock's price and then a deflation in the stock's price. Right, so of course I did tell you guys over here when we got the spin bar to the lower side that we will fall down, and well, we did, right? So of course it's difficult for a company like MULN to hold such high stock prices, but of course people are blaming it on David Michery as well, saying that well, he sold so many shares, he did this, he did that. But over here I want to tell you guys something, that on Friday in the aftermarket we did get a order from probably a whale, and it was about 12 million shares if I'm not wrong, and it was in the aftermarket of course. So that should help the stock a bit on Monday, but I'm not really sure what it will do, right? So if I were to give you guys a contrast, David Michery sold about 11, or rather, well, it was 15 million shares I think in September this year. So that made a huge impact on the stock's price. Of course, we might just find the candle. It was probably around here somewhere I believe, or maybe around here, right? But it did get us a big red candle. Of course it's 15 million shares, not a small deal. But anyways, coming to the stock's price action, of course we can see that we're about to get back to the price range of 22 cents where we were earlier, but we probably won't dip as as below. We probably won't get back to those levels. What I'm looking at is a support from the 25-cent level. We will still fall, right? We might get a recovery on Monday. We'll probably get a gap up on Monday, and after that we'll fall a bit. We'll probably stay around this range for a few days, and after that I believe that the stock can go down maybe around a few days before the earnings report, and it will probably come down around 25 cents. Of course the previous day, right, the day below or before, I'm sorry for that, of course that Friday 11th November would probably end somewhere around here, because investors will be hyped up about the earnings report, and probably David Michery or someone would have at least given a statement about the earnings report up until this date, so the market will behave accordingly. And of course if we outperform, the stock of course will go up, but we don't have earnings estimates over here, so we'll get that someday, some other day, probably in my next MULN analysis, but which will probably be on Monday. But anyways, for now we can see that, as I already told you, we'll probably stay around this range until the earnings report comes out. Now here's the problem: if the earnings report is negative, which it probably or it might be, then I believe that the stock will probably come down and finally break the 20-cent range. Once it does, the major support lies at 0.18. Of course this is just guesswork by my own gut feeling and by my own experience, because we have never hit such lows in the stock ever before, right? So it's kind of difficult to guess the support, but usually stocks have support prices like $200, $180, $150, so that's how it moves usually. So just based off of that, we'll probably have a support at 19 cents. That would be psychological, and a technical support around 18 cents. So let's quickly move on to the 1 hour chart to analyze the stock in a bit more detail and find some more support and resistance levels. So now that we're in the 1 hour chart for MULN, of course, we can see a lot more clearly about what will happen on Monday. And if this is right, I believe that Monday is not going to be a good day, right? Monday might be bearish because, of course, we can see that we did get a negative pin bar over here, followed by a red candle. And then we got two pin bar candles that were, well, they were green, but they were still pointing towards the downside. And of course, if we look over here, we did get somewhat of a flag and pole pattern, a descending triangle somewhat, right? So this, of course, is a bad sign, right? We did get higher lows, but at the same time, we were making lower highs, right? So this is definitely not a good sign. In this scenario, the stock, I believe, if it gets a gap up, which I already told you it probably will, it might actually break 0.28 and get back to 0.26. However, around here, break to 0.25 even, right? Because this shows that there was a lot of selling pressure on Friday, which of course, as I already told you, not a good sign. And even if we look over here, we already saw such patterns on the 31st October, or rather the 1st November chart. We can see that we did get some similar patterns over here. So we did fall down, and of course, we're getting some similar patterns over here. So overall, is the stock up buy? Not exactly, right? I already told you a few days ago that I'm not currently buying the stock, and I probably won't until it gets to better levels, which I believe it finally now will get, right? I already told you in my previous video that we'll get below 30 cents. We did that. Now I'm telling you that we'll probably bounce off of 25 cents. And if we get a bad earnings report, 25 cents and even 20 cents will be broken, right? Those levels are gone if we get a bad earnings report. But if you watch my videos regularly, you probably know that I don't analyze, or rather I don't like the 1 hour chart that much. So let's quickly jump on to the 5-minute chart to see what's exactly going on. So now that we're in the 5-minute chart, we can see that this exactly, right, this chart exactly proves why Monday will be bearish. We can see that we ended the day off with not one, but rather three bearish signals. Now let me show exactly what three those signals were. First up, we got a descending triangle over here. So this is the first negative signal. Second up, of course, we did get a pin bar candle over here to end the day off, but this pin bar candle, there are two layers to it actually. So if we look closely at this candle, it's not just a pin bar candle, it's a reversal pin bar candle. So over here we can see that we got a pin bar on the upside, and then we got a massive pin bar on the downside. This shows that we're in for a massive reversal on the downside, and it might lead to a small gap up on Monday, probably somewhere around 0.286, 0.288. Right, we might get resisted over here and then come down, or we might as well just, continue our fall right this way. But Monday will be bearish. That is the baseline of what I'm trying to say. Of course, if we look at the previous patterns as well, we might be able to find some support and resistance. Of course, we have a support around 0.3, right? That's 30 cents, pretty significant level. Of course, we have another support around 0.2770, and of course around 0.2750 as well, so I won't mark that. And 0.265 would be a good level as well. So with that, right, these levels will probably act up on Monday, and you should mark them on your chart. Below these, 0.26, 0.26, 0.255, 0.25. So these are all of the levels that you need for Monday, right? The stock probably won't go either above or below these levels. It will probably just stay in between them. So these levels should be enough to get you by Monday. And with that being said, I'm not exactly bearish on the stock, but I believe that, the conditions that we're in right now are definitely not good. But I could be wrong, so remember that this definitely was not financial advice, and you should always do your own research before you trade. If, however, you enjoyed my analysis, be sure to hit the like button. If you did not enjoy it, be sure to hit the dislike button. You can subscribe to our channel, Stox 101, for more such videos. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.